I have two brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may.
Hi, welcome to Left Foot Media. My name is Brendan Malone and you're watching The Daily Question. Today's question of the day, is fan service a good thing? Now, the reason I'm asking that question is because I've gone to the viewer mailbag and Maxime has sent me this email. Hi, Mr. Malone. And in brackets, Maxime has said, I just wanted to say that. Thank you, Maxime. You make me feel so young and vibrant when you call me Mr. Malone. I was listening to YouTube today, various channels talking about rumours and all that for Star Wars Episode 9, and some are suggesting that it's going to be all-out fan service, all of the characters from Star Wars are going to be back, and that Star Wars 9 will be a culmination of all of these characters. This talk of fan service has got me wondering what exactly this means. And for me, don't get me wrong, I'm all for fan service, but it must be relevant to the plot. It must be part of the plot and not just there for the sake of it. Well, Maxime, I think you've hit the nail on the head. So basically, in a nutshell, don't be confused, because fan service is basically where you deliberately put something into a film in order to please the fans. The reason that that certain thing has been inserted into the film, the intention for putting it there, is to please the fans. So it's not just an incidental sort of thing where the fans are happy about a certain thing you've done in your storytelling. You've deliberately done something to try and please the fans. Now, small things like that are fine, but the moment fan service detracts from good storytelling is the moment you've got a real big problem on your hands and your movie is starting to fall to bits. My general rule of thumb is this: if a noob, someone who doesn't know anything about this particular franchise or property, or just knows the basics and not much more, if they were to go and watch a movie associated with this franchise and they were constantly asking themselves, what's that thing there and why are they doing that and where did she come from, because it's not making sense to them, basically there's just too much fan service at that point. Effectively, if you need to be such a die-hard fan that you need to know everything about the franchise in order to understand what's being done and all these things that are appearing on screen, then the fan service has started to take over, basically, and it's ruining your storytelling experience. Because good filmmaking ultimately is about this idea that everything that you put on screen should be at the service of the plot or the development of the characters. And ultimately, character development normally is at service of the plot anyway, because it will explain character motivations. But basically, it's like the principle of Chekhov's gun, and the idea being that what you see on screen is constantly moving the story forward, or it's telling you, showing you something important about those characters. So even if it's not directly related to the plot, the way they might act in a particular circumstance tells you about them as a person, them as a character, why it is that they are motivated the way they do, or how they're likely to react in future when, lo and behold, another similar type of situation arises within the plot and they act the way that they do. So basically, you shouldn't have to read a novelization or a 200-page appendix manual to understand what's happening in what is supposed to be a standalone film. Now, trilogies are obviously a little bit different. If you've got a trilogy of films where the story is unfolding over each subsequent film, then you need to have seen the previous film to understand what's happening in number 2 and number 3, obviously, because the story is all connected in that way. That's a little bit of a different thing. But if you are watching a film and then you are told, well, in order to understand what the Resistance is and why it's different from the Rebels, you should have read the novel before coming to the theatre, you have failed as a filmmaking storyteller. Your script writers have failed in their job. A film should be a standalone experience, or a trilogy of films should be self-contained. You should watch that trilogy or watch that individual film, depending on which it is, and be able to know exactly why characters are doing what they are, exactly why the universe in this particular story is the way that it is. You shouldn't need to read appendix material in order to discover these things. That is not good storytelling. And it's one of the things that drives me batty about the new Star Wars trilogy, is people constantly saying, well, if you read this book, you'd know why that happened. Or if you read this comic book, or you watch this thing over here. No, you shouldn't have to. That's not how good filmmaking works. These films are supposed to be self-contained. So the more fan service that you do, basically, the less good storytelling is actually taking place. And good storytelling is where the substance of your film lies. I mean, you can have a film that has a terrible story, but is riddled with fan service, and the fans are likely to hate you for it. because the fans ultimately don't really care about the fan service as much as they do about the good story. On the other hand, you can have a really good story with minimal or no deliberate acts of fan service in it, and guess what? The fans will love you for life. Why? Because you've done what I think ultimately great fan service is all about. And in my opinion, the ultimate act of fan service is to take a group of existing characters or a franchise or a universe and to take that thing and with loving care to tell a great story. And if you take those characters, like say for example Star Wars, and you use them to tell a great story, then guess what? The fans will love you, man. They will love you for life because you've done what every fan wants you to do. We as fans don't want to see little callbacks to things here and there. That's irrelevant, it's transitory, it's passing. In the movie you go, oh look at that, that's a thing, that's a Mandalorian helmet, and then you don't care about it. That's all that is, right? But a good story, man, that'll last a lifetime. You remember that story. And so the ultimate act of fan service is not found in shoving lots of stuff on screen from other sources. Ultimate fan service is about telling us a good story, a great story, giving us some mythology, something that we can really hang our hat on, a morality tale, something that grasps at something deeper and bigger, something that's not politicized, something that's not bogged down in lots of little moments of remember that, remember you like that thing from the cartoon and that thing from the novel. Well, we're just gonna show you a picture of that stuff right here and right now. Look at it. Ah! It's a distraction. It's not the real thing, and it's not where the substance of a great film and great filmmaking is actually found. It's all about the storytelling. Tell a good story, and everything else becomes incidental. As per usual, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you like the content I'm creating and you'd like to see more of it, then please support me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. There's a link in the description below and a link on screen at the end of this video. That's right, I can hear my theme music too. I'll see you tomorrow on The Daily Question.